Okay, hello everybody. My name is Eric Landeros. The topic we're going to be debating today is concentrated animal feeding operations. Resolved, the United States government should strengthen and revise policy to eliminate the use of concentrated animal feeding operations, herein referred to as CAFOs. The policy we're proposing will fine CAFOs that are found to exceed the acceptable levels of pollution for all contaminants, not just specific ones. These fines will scale to a percentage of the profits generated by the CAFO, and a portion of the fines will be used to invest in technologies that will reduce the negative environmental impact of the CAFOs, and will also aid in converting the CAFO to a smaller, more manageable, and eco-friendly farm. So the significance of the topic we're discussing is that concentrated animal factory operations contaminate waste sources. According to Joanne Burkholder in Impacts of Waste from Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations on Water Quality, 2007, the presence of many contaminants from livestock waste has been documented in both surface water and groundwater supplies in agricultural areas within the U.S. Also, CAFOs contaminate the air. According to John Kilpatrick in Animal Operations and Residential Property Values, 2015, an early study in North Carolina reports emotional impacts linked to airborne contamination emanating from an animal operation. Also, CAFOs decrease the quality of life for workers and neighboring residents. According to Kelly Donham in Community Health and Socioeconomic Issues Surrounding Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations, 2007, there have been more than 70 papers published on the adverse health effects of the confinement environment on swine. Another piece of evidence to support that is by Colby, Won't You Be My Neighbor, Living with Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations, 2013. CAFOs tend to employ people from populations that lack access to health care, which exacerbate the negative effects of the working conditions. On the inherency issue, we believe that current policies are not adequate enough to prevent the negative impacts in CAFOs. The first claim I'm making is the minimum level federal regulations are not enough to prevent the negative effects of CAFOs. According to Colby and Won't You Be My Neighbor, 2013, CAFOs in Iowa have operated under the minimum level of federally required regulations for a number of years. The negative effects of this lack of regulation are starting to take toll on Iowans. Emerging public health concerns such as air quality and antibiotic resistance, individual health problems, animal welfare concerns, and the basic right to enjoy one's property are becoming controversial issues and demand increased attention from the state's governments, courts, and citizens. Also on the inherency issue, the EPA has limited authority to regulate pollution from animal agriculture. According to methane as a greenhouse gas, why the EPA should regulate emissions from animal feeding operations and concentrate the animal feeding operations under the Clean Air Act, 2011. Further, the agreement only specifically exempted AFOs from civil violations relating to the emission of pollutants that were to be monitored under the agreement, namely volatile organic compounds, hydrogen sulfide, particulate matter, and ammonia. Methane was not contemplated in the agreement, and language in the agreement specifically states that EPA's releases and covenant not to sue do not extend to emissions of gases beyond the forenamed. What this means is that CAFOs are generating an unhealthy amount of methane, but the EPA is not allowed to do anything about it because methane is not one of the gases listed to be under review. Also on inherency, local businesses suffer because of CAFOs. According to a study or an article, Environmental Health Impacts of Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations, Anticipating Hazards, Searching for Solutions, 2007, the number of farms in Iowa raising hogs decreased from 64,000 in 1980 to 10,500 in 2000, an 84% decrease. So obviously, local small farmers are losing business due to the CAFOs. On the issue of solvency, we believe that strengthened and revised policy will improve the negative effects CAFOs have implemented. So first, the fines issued from our new policy will incentivize CAFOs to reconsider their means of operations. In methane as a greenhouse gas, why the EPA should regulate emissions from animal feeding operations and concentrated animal feeding operations under the Clean Air Act 2011. Obviously, these horizontally integrated sustainable operations, where there are more locally owned and operated farms, would become more economically attractive were the EPA to start regulating methane emissions and force large agribusiness to factor in the cost of potential fines. Second, on solvency, our new legislation will obligate CAFOs to cease operations. So, in our new policy, CAFOs will be fined for their pollution, and these fines will be used to invest in technology to reduce the harm of CAFOs to acceptable levels, and also be used to convert the CAFOs to regular crop animal farms. Last, on solvency, less CAFOs will improve the economy for communities where CAFOs are located. According to John Kilpatrick in Animal Operations and Residential Property Values 2015, a study where 1,106 rural communities conclude that economic growth rates in these communities with conventional farming are 55% higher than in those with animal operations. They note that conventional farmers buy most or all of their supplies locally, thus stimulating the local economy and by extension stimulating the local real estate market. On the other hand, AOs bypass local retailers and import the factors of production. Thank you.